Nobody talks about you, then you are nobody. Then you are nobody. Remember, child, everybody get that problem for head.
Greetings. I am Priestess Osun Funke, and today I am going to ask the ancestors, what do they think about snitching? Okay, this is a topic that is very prevalent in our culture, a taboo in the streets. I want to know what the ancestors think about snitching. Okay, the first card I get is the card for the father. So this would be talking about our collective male ancestry, okay, our father's line, if you will. The next card I have is the card for the mother. The same thing. This would be for the feminine line of our ancestry. Followed by the card for firm footing, which is actually upside down for me. And so what this row of cards is saying is that our mothers and our fathers are unstable. Okay, they see instability. That's what they're observing. I get the card for the soulmate. It's talking about being closely bound to a person or a thing. Followed by the card for the end of illusions, the need to see things clearly. Okay, and so this row of cards is saying you have the ability to change your reality. We are magicians. We have spiritual gifts, intelligence, all kinds of tools available to us. And we need to bind ourselves closely to those things. And we need to begin to see things clearly. So I still don't feel like we're getting a very straightforward answer. It sounds like they're saying, that they're seeing what's going on in our culture and they feel like we're unstable. We have the ability to change our reality, but we're acting as if we don't know that. Let's keep going. The next card I get is the card for logic, okay? So they're saying we need to use logic. Followed by the card for the nobleman, okay? So this is talking about our noble ancestry. Followed by the card for the love child, okay? So this is an advice from the mother and the father's line of our collective ancestry. And they're coming through and they're saying, use logic. You guys have a noble ancestry. You come from a noble heritage. And we love you. Still, what do you guys think about snitching? Let's keep going. The next card I get is the card for the initiate. Okay, it talks about going through something, experiencing something, what someone is dealing with at the moment. I get the card for brokenheartedness, but this card is upside down. So it's talking about disappointments, but in a way that may not be as it appears. Let's keep going. I get the card for self-deception, also upside down. So what they're saying with this row of cards is that what we are going through as a culture and as a society is disappointment and self-deception. But it's not that we are being deceived, okay? And it's not even that we are deceiving ourselves. We're unaware that it's deception, okay? So it's like they're speaking to some sort of a conspiracy or the fact that we don't really see clearly what's going on. As they told us in an earlier row, the need to see things clearly absolutely applies to this subject. And they're saying that they're disappointed in us, but we're not actually disappointed enough in ourselves to change our behavior. That's what I'm hearing. Let me turn over another row. I get the card for the assailant. This is talking about something that assails you, something that is acting upon you. I get the card for laser vision. This would be talking about focus. And I get the card for the provocateur, okay? So what assails us at this time is that we're being provoked. And so that's what they were talking about in the earlier row with the disappointment and the deception. We should be disappointed, but not in the individuals who are doing the snitching, but perhaps the system that has been created and pits us against one another. And that we are deceiving ourselves, not because we're deceiving each other, but because we're not seeing things clearly. And this last row, they're saying what assails us at this time is that we are being provoked. Okay, so they may be talking about individuals who are forced to snitch because certain deals are being made, or they have promises being made to them, or threats held over their head. I'm going to turn over one final row. I get the card for the drifter. So this is talking about instability. I get the card for the gravedigger shovel. I think that's self-explanatory. And I get the card for stability. Okay, so it's saying a lot. It's saying that instability leads to danger and possibly even the death of those individuals who are unstable, which ultimately will lead to stability for the culture. It's kind of like survival of the fittest is the vibe that I'm getting. So I'm going to leave it right there, because with that, the ancestors have spoken. Now I am going to ask the ancestors, what do they think about snitching using the bones? Okay. So the first thing that catches my attention is the danger stone over thumbs down. Okay. So the ancestors are saying it's dangerous and they don't like it. Okay. A few things off the board here. I get the trophy over the woman. And so what this is saying is that, women are very valuable for our culture. And also the women need to be protected. And I can never say this enough, but we know that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And so I feel like the ancestors are saying, this is something that mothers must teach their children. It is through the women that we will win. Mothers must teach their children about snitching, and they must teach their children about the ethical codes that we accept and understand in our culture, and teach the children how to navigate those. I get the money stone over the root chakra. And so they're saying that when people are self-motivated, when people are thinking from those lower chakras, they are tempted and motivated by things like money, and they're thinking only about their own survival, and they're very self-centered and self-absorbed in the way that they're processing information. Okay, this is absolutely a judgment. I also get the smoky quartz over the sacral chakra. So pretty much the same type of energy. People just not seeing things clearly and thinking on a very low level, thinking about themselves and thinking about their survival, not really thinking about the community or other people, and not seeing that clearly at the same time. I get the beetle over the prayer hands. So this is talking about our prayers being infested, or possibly not happening at all, because I get the nickel over the prayer as well. So people are praying very little, and when they are, they're either not praying in a way that is effective, or their prayers are infested with a bunch of nonsense. The ancestors are saying, actually, their prayers are infested with fuckery and foolishness, because I get the survival stone over the clown. And so the ancestors are saying, you guys, your survival literally depends on you guys smartening up and waking up and stop being so foolish. Okay, even that foolishness has even made its way into the way that we pray. I get the penny over meditation. And so the ancestors are saying, you're not meditating. You're not meditating, which is why you're not hearing the messages. So anyone who finds themselves in a position where they may have to, or may be being coerced into snitching, or being tempted into snitching, if only you'd meditate, the ancestors would speak to you and you would get a clear answer on how to navigate your situation. And if we were praying like we should and relying on the ancestors and communicating with them, I see communication up here with the anchor, okay, the hematite, the heavy stone. So they're saying if we communicated with them, if we talked to the ancestors, we would have the answers that we need. They've even been trying to contact us in our dreams. They even tried to talk to us in our dreams. Those of you who are in a situation where you're considering snitching, or you've been approached by authorities to perhaps become a snitch or something of that nature, the ancestors are saying, listen, talk to us, pray to us, we'll communicate with you through your dreams. Your dreams will pay off. We're not tapped in. That's the reason we don't have these answers. That's the reason we don't know what to do in any given situation. I get the rose quartz over fear. And so this is basically a reminder that the ancestors love us and they fear for us. They're afraid of what's happening to our culture. I get the eraser over the finish line. And so they're saying that this needs to stop. It needs to finish. It needs to be done with. We need to stop turning on each other. We need to start thinking about someone other than ourselves, which is what they were telling us in this area. We need to pray to the ancestors. We need to meditate. We need to speak to the ancestors and let them know what we're going through. We need to pay attention to our dreams because they will pay off. Okay? We need to stop this foolishness, which is what they indicated there with the clown. They're saying that we're giving away our love. The love that we have for each other, the brotherly love that we have for one another or should have for one another, we're giving it away. It's slipping through our fingers. We don't care about each other anymore. And this is making the ancestors sick. It's causing them great stress. It's causing them distress to see us in this condition. I get the creativity stone over anxiety and stress. This is worrying the hell out of our ancestors that we're even in this position. We need to definitely work on it. I get the amplifier stone over work. We need to do better. This is something that we need to address and we need to work on. We need to stop abusing each other is what the ancestors are saying. Right here I have a whole clump of charms, and I'll get into that. But the first one, I get the cowrie over abuse, which means the ancestors are acknowledging that. They're saying we see the abuse. And I get the transformation stone over the abuse. That needs to change. We're abusing one another. I get the skeleton over the baby. And off to the side, I have the obsidian, which is the ancestral stone. So in this area right here, the ancestors are saying we're worried about the children. We're wondering what kind of world are they being born into, where brother turns against brother? What kind of worlds are these babies coming into, where a system that has only served to damage and destroy our culture is now one that we're leaning on to turn against one another? I get the button over Ogun. Ogun is the spirit of war. Ogun is saying, we need to fight against this. He is up in arms about this. That Ogun energy is not happy with this, okay? And I get the number 6 on the dice over the thumbs up, which again, 6 is talking about communication. And this is the ancestors saying that we must begin to communicate with one another, and we must communicate with the ancestors. We cannot do this by ourselves, obviously. So communication needs to happen in order to solve this issue that we're having in our community. And finally, I get the sobriety stone over the crown chakra. So the sober truth is that we are not elevated. The sober truth is that we have not risen above these lower chakras. And that's the reason why this is even an issue for us to be talking about today. With that, the ancestors have spoken. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like to book a private reading or a spiritual counseling session, you can do so by visiting www.blackspectrumnetwork.com or www.priestessosunfunke.com. Be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.
If nobody talks about you, then you are nobody.